Hello everyone, my name is Matt Scorpion, and welcome back to Destiny 2. I hope everyone had a good Christmas, or at least a good holiday break, regardless of what you celebrate. Now, on this note, I'm just going to get into it. As it's still tired times, I'm still going to compress this into one video. Granted, Eververse doesn't have much, but a few things to note right off the bat. The message that you log into on Destiny, it is incorrect. It says that Dawning ends on the 4th of January. Bungie re-released a message that said is actually on the 2nd of January, whatever this following Tuesday is after the 26th. Now, on that note as well, you're also given a first of its kind, a double boosted rewards from Crucible, so we'll just see how that goes, but getting into the main beef of everything. The current available Nightfall weapon is another new one for this season, but however, it is a returning weapon in the Izume RR4, which is a solar adaptive frame sniper rifle. It will likely have good perks for Crucible or for, PvE. At the same time, snipers are kind of in an odd point, and aggressive frames or supremacy with its ultimate shooting mode is kind of still just the go-to when it comes to snipers. On that note, however, getting into it as well, there is still the Nightfall you have to go through. This week's current Grandmaster is the Corrupted, which there is ways to make it a lot easier, and there's definitely ways to make it go faster. However, the end is still a bit of a nail-biting experience, which that is the part where you have to succeed. Its current active modifiers is Overloaded and Unstoppable, because it's mostly Taken and some Scorn. Then Arc Threat for incoming arc damage being done, so be sure to optimize with a few arc resist. Then the usual modifiers, Limited Revives, Extinguish, Epitaph for taking combatants, making the blooping geysers, Chaff for no radar, then usual seasonal overcharge weapons, as well as Strand and Solar Surge and overcharge rocket launchers. So damage might go a little bit easier than general. And on that same note as well, that you do have access to ciphers, but there is no longer double reward, so you should be expecting to see normal stuff from now on. Then as well, Gambit is Gambit as usual, and like I said before, there is double rewards when it comes to Crucible. At the same time, Mayhem is currently active, so there we go. But at the same time, they also stuck a knife in the foot and specify that it is double rewards on wins. So if you have bad luck, then you're not getting anything extra. However, like I said, currently Mayhem for a 6v6 quick play, Checkmate Control as our active competition or competitive elimination for quick play, Checkmate Countdown, as well as Rumble. And here's hoping that they can, reduce the amount of checkmates, because I've been hearing it's not exactly been evolving that much. But then getting into the rest of the world, so with seasonal bits, of course, Starcross is still a thing. I imagine there is going to be something new going forward, although there is 2 new things, so hard to tell about that. And as well, with the coil and everything, let's see, seasonal-wise, its rotation is the Divining Hall, First Steps in the Temple of the Queen's Wrath, Sensorium in Reaper's Orison, and then First Steps in the Cell of the Sycophant as well, in case you need to keep track of what you're encountering in the coil. But then getting into just a few things, farming. So we have Prophecy for our weekly farming dungeon, which means you can get farming out infinitely, although its exotic is quest tied, so there's that. Our weekly exotic mission is Presage, so if you want anything from Season of the Haunted or wish to work on Dead Man's Tale, this is up for grabs this week. And while we are here for Crota's End on the Master Mode, it is currently Equal Vessels Challenge, which is the Death Singer Challenge, aka your Ute. Basically, everyone has to hold on to the chalice before rotating back around and doing a repeat person. Basically, you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can't do 1, 5, 2, 3 without doing 1, 5, 2, 3 again. And of course, for Master Mode, you have Stasis and Solar Surge, Overcharge Shotgun, and the usual variety of Master Mode. This time, however, also being Mobility-focused armor for this one in case you want to farm that out. Specifically for armor, but though I generally don't know anyone that does that. However, moving about, let's see, checking on Neomuna while we're here. Incursion Zone is in the Zephyr Concourse, as well as a partition of the back door. And then the weekly mission is No Time Left, which I think it's always hard to tell just because I didn't spend this much time in the campaign. But No Time Left, in case you wanted to know that. But in terms of the weekly farming raid, I forget what was last week, but it was back around to Valve Disciple currently. Which means, of course, as always, all active challenges, as well as Master Mode returning, in case you wanted access to Adept weapons from Valve, also Discipline-focused armor, which the usual same Stasis and Solar Surge, but then Overcharged Fusion Rifle as well, in case you wanted to dart in there. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and skip the random challenges throughout the world, except for some of the most recent stuffs, just because some stuff is still old, and at least cover what is at least updated in a way. So we have Out of Its Way for Vault of Glass. For King's Fall, we have Devious Thievery. And then going into Europa, because it is craftable, we have... I am pressing all the wrong buttons. Of all trade, which is third encounter challenge. Then for the Root of Nightmares, we also have all hands challenge, which I forget which one that is. I think it's actually Netherite challenge. But then lastly, wrapping it up for the Dreaming City, because we can still craft these weapons, is which honestly, thinking about it, I think I covered almost every single raid that is in rotation except for Garden. So just to round it all out, for Garden of Salvation, it is Leftovers, whatever one that is. But then that is pretty much everything else for that note. Now, in terms of world rotations, last thing is Dares of Eternity for Legend mode, which is currently Vex, Cabal, and Crota for Legend Dares of Eternity and its rotation. Now, of course, like I said, I am cramming it all together. I'm just doing that for the holidays just because I don't have the gas to really do it, and I want to catch up on a few things. And as well, speaking of gas, the Dawning event will be ending next Tuesday. If there's anything you want to do, title, cosmetics, event, weapons, or if you want to just get anything from this event, you have another week to do it, so hopefully wrap that up on New Year's Day if you have the day off. On that same note as well, going into it, Banshee, what he has on the front page, we have Whispering Slab, a lightweight bow from back during Season 11. Pretty old, and it's still outdated. Really kind of hoping these get a revamp soon. And we also have Cartesian Coordinate, which is still allegedly one of the most damaging fusion rifles in the game, at least with the right amount of perks, and one of the last things in Destiny nowadays that has access to sights. And we also have Annual Skate, a pretty solid adaptive frame hand cannon, really made for Crucible, but at the same time it's still technically outdated, no origin trait, no craftable, no nada. And then we also have Syncopation 53, which is a stasis adaptive frame pulse rifle. However, this one is up to date, it is craftable. It is still a bit old though in Destiny standard. It is about 2 years worth of perks out, so it's hard to say whether or not this still holds up. The same thing from Palmyra. It is craftable, it is origin traded, but at the same time not exactly a great one. And on that same note, it is a good damage rocket launcher if you need something to craft and don't have access to the other things. But at the same time, I would just get a better rocket launcher otherwise. Then that is pretty much it. For now, I'll of course cover Ada, but now it is time to get into Eververse, and then I will double check talking with Ada, which I might move that over permanently to that in case you are curious. Then for Bright Dust, we have Justified Cobalt right on the front, a shader, which is a pretty simple one. It doesn't look half bad in terms of broad spectrum. It has that unusually dark purple glow to it, though. And we also have Celestia, which I think is something rather new, or at least something I missed out on. It, of course, looks quite dawning, quite festive. Silver, yellow, and blue, as most dawning stuff is. And we also have the Piled High Transmat, which I think is something we've seen in previous weeks, which is basically just a lot of presents. And then we also have the Mirthmobile, which is a small Sparrow sled. In case you wanted a mini Sparrow, this is one of the few versions of a mini Sparrow, not to mention just being a cute little chibi dawning thing. And then we also have an arse carving emote, which this one actually has a few different things to turn out. I will show it in general what it comes out to, but I will say it does also have a few rotations of spawns in case you're bored and just want to see what you can come out as. But I believe it's like the Ghost, the Callous Head, as well as even a small one in case you wanted to do that. And into the bulk stock, we have Dawning Warmth, which is something that is just kind of a little bit darker for Dawning, but does look pretty solid, and it is a good look to it. And Resilient Laurel, which is something a more early year, a lot of frosty look there. And we also have Dawning Celebration, which is something that it's very similar to the So, except this time it's purple and just generally purple. And then one that I'm not gonna lie, I already looked at, looks just like wrapping paper. It's gold, green, it's got Dawning logos all over it, and lots of reds. Not gonna lie, Wishkeeper actually looks kind of gnarly with it. But on that same note, of course, like I said, shader. And then we have the Shower Gifts Transmat, which is another present explosion, as well as the Howling Blizzard, which is from a prior year, which is, I believe, another blue rarity transmat just redone. And Piled High, again, Bungie, please stop repeats. And then for big ticket items, we have the Get That Bread emote, which is from the original introduction of the Christmas cooking, if I recall, or at least one of the previous years, because, you know, bread, cookies, and the like. We also have a tacky sweater emote, which, yeah, that's an emote. It didn't work last time, and now, that's certainly something. And we have the Icy Elegant shell, which is basically a figure skater / sled ghost shell, which does look very nice, but it still looks a bit awkward. And we have the Ice Chime ship, which is something at least newest. It definitely looks pretty nifty. If at least anything, it looks fast. And still a little bit snowy. And then we also have the Divine Messenger, which I think is from a previous year, although it could be new as well. It's hard to keep track of it sometimes. But a pretty decent looking Sparrow, and of course a pretty obnoxious snow trail for the back end. And we have the Infinite Gift, which is the Vex... No, that's the wrong word. Vex Mythoclast. I almost said Vexcalibur, but this is a different gun entirely. Nice little look to it. It is festive and everything, although I'm still not sure if it really beats out a few other ornaments, but even still, I might be one of the few people that thinks Vex Mythoclast still looks best in its original form, only because the ornaments that have come out haven't exactly been unique. But then, lastly, as always, we have a Candy Cane Ghost Projection, which is probably the thing that everyone ignores almost always, unless they're really into ghost projections. And to wrap everything up with cosmetics, a few odd ones. Cinder Char from the Season of Opulence. Now, you might not exactly remember what this is, but there was a few weapons that came out from Season of Opulence that had an ornament that gave it a retro D1 style look. This was the ornament shader for that. It's kind of hard to explain. If you were there, you know. If not, you just know its origin now, if you want an explanation. But then also we have Tangled Bronze, which is from Forsaken back during year 2, which... that actually looks kind of evil. I know it's one of those textured ones that definitely gives it a rough look, but it's real dark looking in case you want to vibe with it. And then last, as always, we have a third shaded Warcult Rain, which is one of the few faction shaders that we usually get. It's not bad looking. It's got an odd Wolverine vibe to it, but at the same time, it does kind of mismatch. Yellow and purple is an odd combination in a weird way. On that note, that is pretty much everything for the reset. Of course, I will cover reset as usual, but I don't think we'll be getting another TWAB this week. I know last week I mentioned I wouldn't be covering anyways, but I don't think we're going to be getting one regardless. On that note, my name is Matt Scorpion. I will see you in the next video.